Have you ever stayed at a hotel that make you feel like you in a movie? It gives.
Have you ever stayed at a hotel that make you feel like you in a movie? That you in a movie? Doop, 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 doop. What's up, BMore City? What's up, family? Y'all know what time it is. Steve Copeland, Big Unk. Big Unk in the building. Big Unk in the building. Hey, look. Recovery and addictive lifestyle. Recovering from actually an addictive lifestyle. Recovering from an addictive lifestyle. Okay. Recovering from an addictive lifestyle. Hey, family. This is Steve Copeland from Baltimore City. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation Show. Boom, boom, boom. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation Show. Boom, boom, boom. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation Show. Boom, boom, boom. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation Show. You know what? Give me a sec, y'all. I'm just checking to make sure I'm live streaming to my other platforms. Okay? But today is recovering from an addictive lifestyle and street unhealthy habits. And when I talk about the streets unhealthy habits, I'm talking about actually being a smug dealer. Okay? I'm talking about practicing that old life. Having 33 years clean from that lifestyle, I can share about it. I haven't practiced that lifestyle in 33 years. I have not created stuff to give back to my community to poison my community. Well, let me say, my family and I. Okay? Okay? We did what we had to do back then. Barbara Jean, 7 children she raised by herself. Okay? A lot of times I don't like talking about my family as a whole. You get me? Because I had to focus on me. So when you hear Big Steve talk about how things used to be and how things are not now, that's called recovery. That's called living a productive way of life. For some of you that don't understand, that's called yelling out to God, please help me. Because my life was spiraling out of control. So when Big Unc opened up his mouth, Big Unc sharing from a personal level of experience. B-Box. I ain't got to sit up here and fake it till I make it type stuff. I lived it. First-hand experience, TikTok family. First-hand experience, TikTok family. I ain't no joke. I ain't no joke. I wasn't a joke when I was out there in the streets. And now that God has turned my life around, I'm not a joke when it comes to business. I'm not a joke when it comes to helping people change the quality of their lives. I'm not a joke. I'm not one of them ones that run off in my mouth. Y'all already know that. Without talking about having programs in progress. I ain't one. I ain't one. I sit down with our politicians. I sit down with our lawmakers. I ain't one. And will share with them as a person that used to be, and it's not that it's gone, please don't get it wrong, a community organizer. Can step up in the community and tell y'all how we can gain control over the community. And don't you dare ask me why I'm yelling. Because I'm known as the big mouth, bald-headed black dude. Talk about yourself. Because y'all famous for that. I don't know why you're yelling. Because I have a big mouth. I don't know why you're yelling. Because I have a big mouth. What part of English you don't understand? I speak loud. I don't know why you're yelling. Well, you need to get away from me. You need to get away.
Yeah, don't get near me then.
You need to get away. Because one thing about me, I ain't no sucker. And I never been a sucker. Let me make that clear. I have never been a sucker. I don't kiss up to nobody. That's people's problem. Y'all too busy kissing grits. I want you to like me. I want you to approve of me. That's why I had to teach my kids, right? I had to teach my kids how to learn to love and respect themselves. It ain't about anybody else. It's about them living in this world. As a recovering person who have grown spiritually now, is what I feed back to mine. And guess what? They living a great life. Let me make that clear. They living a great life because their father and their mother taught them the proper way of living their lives. As a foster care provider, I was taught. As a mentor, I was taught. As a person that goes back, as an ordained deacon that goes back into the community, I was taught Everything I do, I was taught. I don't hear y'all talk about that. I don't hear y'all talk about that stuff. See, I know where my help comes from, and I know who I serve.
No, they're too scared to come out. They're too scared to come out. That's all that is. They don't want what we have. Because if they did, they'd be listening.
They scared.
Oh yeah, they're very, very scared. They're scared of them demons that's inside of them that's holding their asses back.
You know what?
As soon as they realize that they have them inner demons that they have to deal with in order to get better. But y'all are running. Y'all want to keep y'all demons. Y'all want to stay broke. Y'all want to stay at the bottom. Hell.
And see, the blessing is you don't have to. You don't have to.
They don't. They don't. All we're doing is giving suggestions here. It's not hard. Take the suggestions, and everything is easy. But the first thing we need to do is surrender. But if you're too scared to do that, then have fun with your demons. Because they're going to eat you up.
They're going to eat you up.
Oh, yeah, they will. Oh, yeah, they will. They'll eat that mind up in a heartbeat, bro. I know. I've been there, done that. I don't want to do that shit no more. It can't happen.
I ain't got time. How y'all doing? Ladies?
I'm good, gentlemen. How are you guys
doing?
Great conversation. Great conversation. You know, it says Steve and DTOG. It says my people perish due to a lack of knowledge. Okay. You gotta have knowledge to do anything. You have to know how to do. You know, when your mother told you, "I'm gonna teach you how to cook," she took you in the kitchen because she had to give you the knowledge of the skill of cooking, how to season the food, set the temperature. What to cook the chicken, you know, how to flour the chicken and everything. What we have right now is people who don't value sound wisdom because they too busy trying to be something that their enemy told them they should be. They don't know who they are, so they pretend to be something else for everybody else. Everybody else is getting rich and raising their family off of the thing that's keeping our people in poverty, and that's ignorance. Ignorance is very profitable to everybody else but us. Why would you choose? Why would you if you as a person, if somebody came along and taught you how to open up a bank account, taught you how to get honest money, why would you reject them to try to be a street dude or a street girl? Because you're so worried about somebody calling you lame.
I've been called. Look, I've been called all kinds of names.
Me too. But come on, speak that truth now. Come on.
So we have to really start. We need to do inventory in our community and start to call out the things that are harming our community and keeping our people perishing due to the lack of ignorance. Okay, I like to use the word ignorance instead of knowledge. Because knowledge means that I already got it, and now I got to apply it. We got ignorant folks running around here talking about they are real ones, but they ain't the real ones. Because the real ones is in the trenches doing the work. The real ones is uplifting the community in all different type of capacities and everything. But they wanna my daughter showed me two pictures today. I don't know these people personally, but it rocked my soul.
Oh.
And I realized this. The enemy is no longer outside the home. The enemy is right inside the home. And we calling them relatives. We calling them brothers and sisters. We calling them nieces and nephews. We call them friends because they smile in our faces. The enemy is already in the house. Because anytime, and I'm gonna just say this, and I'm not trying to shame anybody, but anytime you as a young woman or a young man encourage your brother and sister in any type of debauchery behavior, because you quote unquote supposed to be celebrating your birthday, I don't care how old you are, you wrong. Because as an older sibling, we supposed to encourage our younger siblings in the right way in which to go. And I'm going to just say this. I was a single mother, but I chose to still walk the straight and narrow road because I was somebody's mother. I was somebody's mother, so I knew anything I put in front of my child could have the capacity to either bring life to them or to harm them. So I was very, very careful. And I think right now we have a group of mothers that are putting their children in harm's way and didn't want to cry and blame the community at the casket. But we're not holding parents accountable for killing their own kids. And I'm not talking about with a gun. I'm talking about all that ignorant stuff that they put before their children. And then you tell everybody, you can't tell me what to do. And then your child ends up in jail because you done harmed somebody else's child. Or your child ends up in a graveyard. And now you want the community to embrace your foolishness. The Bible tells us, train up a child in the way in which it should go. It never tells a parent to destroy the child. And it says that discipline is different than punishment. Because you discipline your child because you love your child.
Amen.
Because you love them and you don't want them to fall on the concrete of life. But what I seen today, I realized that my people are burning up children. They're burning down the house with the children in it because of their ignorance and their immaturity. Because of ignorance and immaturity. Nobody should be, and I'm going to say this, Nobody should be looking at social media and think that that's who they should be. You gotta love what you see in the mirror. You can't put your body on display and then say, oh, they treat me like a whore. Well, you know what? The only things that put their bodies on display are hookers and models. Models get paid to model clothes, so the clothes are put on the body, but they don't really care about the body. It's about the clothes. And then a hooker displays her body for the means to get paid. So therefore, we have to watch what we modeling in front of our children. Because at the end of the day, what I seen shook my soul, and I've been thinking that I gotta come on social media perfect and all of this. I'm done with that. I'm not gonna stand in the way anymore. After what I seen, and how God pricked my heart, it was like God. After I seen that, I was sitting in the chair working, and I went to get up, and it felt like a needle stuck me in my right side. And I'm like, what? And I'm looking for a needle. Don't see nothing, but it was like a pierce. I mean, I felt it pierce my side. I said, all right, God, you ain't got to worry about me. I'm getting ready to open up my mouth. I don't care if people don't like me, but I'm going to start telling the truth, because we are against the wall. And why would we make our own children fall? Why? And it's out of ignorance, ego, and pride. They don't want to be corrected. And then they always talk about the community and the culture. Well, you know what? The community is the culture. But I'm getting ready to tell you something. All that debauchery ain't our culture. That's somebody else's culture that they done pimped our community and programmed our community to think that's our culture. I'm done.
Whoa.
I'm done. I'm gonna call it out like I see it. I'm gonna call it out. I don't care if the women don't like me. I don't care if the men got a problem with me. I don't care no more, because it's about the babies.
Right.
Our children are under attack, and we are supposed to be. Remember that old song, "We Are Soldiers in the Army"? Though we have to fight, we gonna hold up the bloodstained banner. We gonna hold it up until we die. We don't forget about that battle cry. And God, you know what God tells us to put on the armor of God? Don't nobody need armor unless you already in a battle. And I'm getting ready to say something. We got a bunch of cowards in our community. Don't nobody want to fight no more. Don't nobody want to fight. Don't nobody want to be a soldier in the army of the Lord.
Ooh. What I just said, I was trying to watch the word suckers.
I know.
I was trying to watch it. I just said it not too long ago.
I already know. I'm not surprised, though, that she said it. I'm really not surprised.
And you know what?
It's true. It's true.
I pray, right, family, and I ask God to humble me, because one, I know I come hard, and you know I don't want to make the message look bad, but when you kind of frustrated, you know, when we can do better, but just refuse to do better, and I realize too, because a lot of people are afraid. And when they hear certain things out our mouths, like I was picking with what's your name the other day when OG came out, OG. Show OG you're better than anything he could say out his mouth. Because that's how you flip it. That's how you flip it. And that's how I had to work with my children to help my children understand you're better than anything anybody can say out their mouth, to try to put you down. And that's why I'm listening to you, common sense. And I was thinking about the names that I was given here in Baltimore City that I didn't know because of my outspokenness. The big mouth bald black dude. And then Dr. J, I met her and she does her own talk show and she said, you know, you considered as one of the most hated men in Baltimore City. I'm like, what? You know, because I'm speaking up for the people. And when Steve invited me on his talk show, he called me the most controversial man in Baltimore City. And the thing is, a lot of times we want people to love and like us for who we are. And that's why we bend over backwards for a lot of people. I refuse to do that. I had to learn to stand firm where I'm at, how God raised me, you know. And some people, they get ministry mixed up sometimes. Everybody not meant to be on that pulpit, you know, preaching or teaching. Some of us was called to go out and be a living example of the word itself, you know, as far as serving the people. And I had to understand my purpose and my mission of the calling. And I became obedient to what he called me to do. I remember when I used to run. I knew I had a calling on my life for the longest time. I knew it. And I ran. And I was sharing it with my sponsor. And my sponsor was like, when I became ordained deacon, he said, you finally found your position where God wants you at. And that's what I do. That's what I do. You know, we represent the body of Christ. And I'm going to tell you, I'm saying it because I know the challenges that we can go through too. Mainly when I got arrested 3 years ago. God showed me you walking in the footsteps of some great people, men and women, and the suffering that a lot of us go through when you representing righteousness or what is right to some people. So Valerie then came up. Come on, Queen.
Yes. I was listening to Common Sense, and she made so much sense about what she was saying. And I too, Queen, Common Sense. I'm a single parent. I raised 5 kids with the help of God. 4 boys and 1 girl. And I tell you, when your life is structured and your life is going to the according to the will of God, and you doing what God say do, your kids will turn out to be somebody respectable in that, you know, in their community,
Yep.
as well as in you know, in their careers. My daughter, she's 38, and she's tired 100% from the military. I have a son that lives in Atlanta. He has his own barber business. My baby boy lives in North Dakota, and he works for the airline, the airports. They pay him to travel to different airports, you know, to make sure the airports are running well. And I have a son that lives in California. He's a coach. He coaches Little League baseball. I mean, not baseball, football. You know, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. Because I, as a mother, I didn't want my kids to be drug dealers or, you know, anything but what was pleasing to God. So, because when I like my kids, I was raised in the hood, and my kids were raised in the hood. But this is the thing that I instilled in them. Just because you was raised in the hood, you do not have to have a hood mentality. You could come out the hood, and so I used to take my kids and drive them around into the rich neighborhood and told them, say, this is what you can have, but you got to work for it.
Yeah.
You can't steal. You can't. You got to get it in an honest way. And God, when you making an effort to do stuff the right way, God will help you. He'll send people your way, you know, to help you. And people will help me with my kids. Those men that God put in my life, not for a relationship with me, but men that have mentored my boys, so that they'll be men. Because I couldn't teach them how to be a man. Only thing I could do is teach my daughter how to be a lady. And I always told her, ladies are always seen and never heard. And she carried herself as a lady. So when you, and I tell you, because I work at a middle school, and I have seen how parents come in there and saying their kids are this, their kids are that, and be the worst ones in the school. I had a parent that on the phone, just all kind of language coming out her mouth. And I told her, I said, look, that's not ladylike. You have a whole daughter here. How you talk like that in front of your child? That's not good. And come to find out a month later, the child turned on her and called the people on her.
Yeah.
You know, so she had to give up the child, you know what I'm saying? And I say, this is a effect of what you did. So she called herself, cursing me out. But I had to come back. Now, God, this is what God said. Well, how you gonna treat her when she come back? But I had to tell her. I say, ma'am, I don't have no hard feelings towards you. But this is a lesson learned because you came against me because I was trying to tell you the truth about you. But now look. And not throwing up in her face, but I say, but you got to give this thing to God. She said, but my daughter did well. I say, I understand that. But you still got to give it to God. Forgive your daughter. I said, because that's your child. You spit that seed out, baby. But you're gonna have to, you don't wanna have a relationship in this world and you and your child not speaking to each other. That's not good. You can see your child on the street and y'all don't speak to each other. That's not good. Y'all need to have a relationship, so you got to come to a conclusion. Who's going to be the bigger person? You the mama. You make the first step. So it's a lesson learned, and I understand and sometimes this is one thing that God pointed out to me. With those parents that have never been taught, they cannot teach their child.
Right.
So
Amen.
So God put people like me or put people like Copeland or yourself comes in those people's lives, in the kids' lives, to train them so when they go back home, they can tell their mom what they learned, and then when the mom and parents start seeing the child change, they'll come to a conclusion, what's wrong with my child? You know what I'm saying? And so that's why we as Christians, as men of valor, women of valor, women of purpose, men of purpose, we have to stand fast with our kids, with other people's kids, as well as with our kids. And we have a child that's going astray, then they want to hang out to your house, let them hang out. Because there's something there that's drawing that kid to you that want to be the friends with your child. But you have to lay down those ground rules with your child, because your child knows the ground rules, but you have to lay down those same ground rules with that child. And tell them, say, hey, this is how our house is run. Now you are more than welcome to come here, but this is not. We're not going to tolerate this, and this. And then you can go from there with that, because it's always train up a child in the way common sense was going, and that's Proverbs. Yeah, you can always train up somebody else's child as well. And it's just a learning lesson, because we have a lot of lost kids out there. I mean, a lot of them. I know 3 babies came to my school, and I was like, Lord, if I just had the room, I'd take them home with me. I promise you, God, I'd take them kids home and take care of them. And see, they was blaming the kids of how they was coming to school. I said, y'all can't do that.
Right.
Y'all can't do that, because God tells us in His Word, if you hurt one of these little ones, you might as well hang a millstone around your neck. Those kids cannot help the situation that they are in. And know that if the parent is not getting any help, they're going to keep falling into the same category, saying, but somebody have to step in and say, okay, God, make me responsible for this family. Make me, the caretaker of this family. Not taking on all the burden, but trying to get the mama on the right path where she'll know, hey, this is what we need to do to get your life together, get you and your kids out of this situation here. So I just want to add to what she was saying. It made so much sense to me.
I'm going to just piggyback on what you just said. First of all, school sometimes is the only safe place for the children.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to just tell you guys this little snippet of story because it reminded me. You know, we're told to be good neighbors, right? Yes. The Bible tells us to be a good neighbor. Well, I noticed that my neighbor this was a while I was raising my kids. I noticed that their mother worked a lot, okay? So she had 3 girls and 2 boys. My son was friends with the oldest boy. And the girls, I noticed that one girl, the older daughter, she stayed in the house a lot. But the middle daughter, she was out there trying to get busy in the streets. And the little sister sometimes would tag along with her. Well, I'm going to the, little corner store. And I run into her. But I run into her with these young white males. Because we live close to a major Ivy League campus in Cleveland, Ohio. So I snatched her up and made her go the opposite way with me, okay? Because I didn't like the picture. But I knew what could have been potential a dangerous situation, and she would have been the victim of it, right?
Right.
So what I started to do, being a good neighbor, is I combed them girls' hair. I washed and did them girls' hair that Saturday. I started to make sure they were in the house when they were coming home from school. I pleased them, even though they were not my kids.
Right.
I knew their mother was working hard. So let me respect this woman. I'm not going to talk about her and say, oh, she don't know how to raise her kids. This woman working 12, 14 hours a day, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take what I can do as a neighbor. I can see that her kids coming into the house and doing what they supposed to do and not be in them streets, right? Mm-hmm. We used to have a sensibility of community, but the community was destroyed because, and I'm going to say this, the community forgot to be the community. The community forgot to be the community. There was a level of respect, regardless if you was a single mom, unless you was just downright dirty and nasty, and your kids was the bully and everybody else's kids. People looked out for each other, right? But right. People still knew, and this is the one thing that we as a community have to tell the truth. We all knew that the kids that was bullying all the other kids who mamas and daddies took care of, we knew that them people lacked resources. That something was not right in them homes, right?
Right.
But we have gotten, we done became, like, I have to say it, like a lot of white folks. White folks will know about stuff and they'll sit back and talk about you, but won't help you, okay? Mm-hmm. And we have gotten to their mentality. We need to remember who we are, and we need to start to implement those things back in. And when it comes to, like, you have, as a parent, you have to set the standard for your, the cleanliness, how to keep the house clean, how to keep their bodies clean. You are the first teacher.
Yeah. Yes.
You got to set the value system for your kids, and then you got to give your kids a moral compass, okay?
Right.
And those are the things that we now are lacking, because you know what? We didn't reinforce the moral values and standards. We pushed it off on, and when I say we, I'm just talking about community at large. We pushed it off on teachers. The teacher's not responsible to teach your kids or to give your kids a moral compass. The school is not the place where your children should have their value systems and their standards set. That should be did in the home, and the TV does not need that to be the babysitter. It's about quality time. It's about quiet time. It's about creative time in the home as well. And learning starts at home. Right. And we need to turn off the TV, turn off the cell phones, have at least one decent meal on the table a week, and everybody sits at a table in the house. If you ain't got no table, everybody just put the plates in the floor with some paper stuff and eat together as a family. You know, before Hurricane Andrew hit back in 1992, I used to get up every morning, cook my kids a hot breakfast, a hot lunch, and a hot dinner. 3 times a day. And when I said after this hurricane hit, it took something out of me to the point that cereal was their main dish. Before that, it was no cereal. And my neighbors start saying, "Hey, man, you don't cook like you used to," because their kids, because there's always one house every kid want to go to because they always cook it, and that was my house. So I had to, you have to pick yourself up and say, look, let me get myself together. And just like you did common sense with kids, when you know that those kids not going to have a hot meal and stuff, you just go make an effort to make sure the kids have a hot meal. So and I understand what you're saying, because that's like that's life. That's having a heart. You're not a selfish person. You're just not. That ain't none of my kids, so I ain't gonna worry about it. If everybody lives like that, this place would be terrible. That's why it look like it. That's why the world look like the way it look now, because everybody is not having the mindset of the good neighbor, okay? Mm-hmm. The good Samaritan. We have forgotten the fruits of the Spirit, okay? That's what the fruits of the Spirit is what builds our character and integrity, but also that is the measuring rod that we can only judge people on, is the fruits of the Spirit. Yes. So we have to start, and I call it a checkup. We have to do a checkup on yourself. Mm-hmm. June is supposed to be mental health month for men. Why can't women come out of their pride and ego and allow men to speak about their mental health? It does not take anything away from you. It's not blaming you. And we operate in such a space of shame and guilt. Things happen, and they happen to all of us, and it's called mistakes. And I classify as mistake as this: if I had all of the information, then I would have made a better choice. But due to the fact that I lacked knowledge at the time that I had to make a choice, I made the choice on emotions, and we know making any type of choice when you're emotional is a car wreck waiting to happen. Somebody is going to get hurt. There's going to be damage there. And sometimes people get totaled in them car wrecks, right? But what I'm saying is, we have to remember that the parents' first priority is not to themselves, but to the child. And yes. I'm not saying that you neglect yourself. I mean that you are the first teacher of the child. So you want to teach your children good things, survival skills. Okay, these people don't know how to do nothing. I'll be right back, y'all.
All right, Queen. And you know what, Carmen says, I keep thinking, and I appreciate you. When you explained to me about the 18 months, the 24 months with the women with the children, women and children. And I really, that really helped me a lot. You know, um, I always, you remember, I would tell people still, give me 3 to 6 months. But, excuse me, when it comes to the women and the children, I look at it different now because I understand certain things has to be broken, cycles wise. And another thing, what you were saying, a lot of people that have children wasn't never taught how to be responsible. If you wasn't raised with morals, values, and principles, right, then you can't give it back to your children. If you full of bitterness, you full of anger, you full of fear, you full of hatred, stuff like that, that's all you gonna feed them, because that's all you have. So I understand that. That's why the whole goal with everything we do is changing the quality of their lives. And it starts with their thinking. It starts with their behaviors. Helping people to change their old ways of thinking, their old ways of doing things, mainly if it keeps them in a destructive lifestyle. And I can only share that basically too, as a recovering person that used to live a certain way of life, don't live it no more. I can only share that to help parents understand the importance. Thank God, like Valerie was saying, I raised my children, well, my wife and I, wives, and I raised them totally better because we was able to provide better for them than what we had coming up. And that's what I want people to understand, that you can, even with your living arrangements, right? If you are in the inner city poor communities, you still can live a productive way of life. You still can provide for your family a healthy lifestyle, even though in your eyesight you might not feel like you have the best of what other people may have. But the goal is you raise your you I'm trying to get to that point. You do what you can afford. Cause I was thinking about the other day. I was thinking about I don't know if it was Jeff Bezos or one of them had like $1 million yacht or something, right? Looked like a city somewhere along that line. Might have been more than that. And then what hit me? People only get what they can afford. If you can afford the $1 million home, the $500,000 home, the $200,000 home, you're gonna get it. If you can afford the $30,000 car, the $1 million car, whatever, you're going to get it. But it's going to get you to A to B anyway, or A to Z, right? You might be riding in a little bit more luxury, but still, it's going to get you. And those are things I begin to realize, as a person who, me and my first wife went, looked at a house. She's still in that house. I ended up leaving. My second wife and I went, looked at a house. She wanted a house by the time she turned 28. We was buying a house. But now I end up leaving. But the thing what I'm saying is those things come and I realize they go. And a lot of times we put too much value on materialistic things. Enjoy it while you can, because they come, they go. And you only get what you really can afford. And that's what I started realizing in life. Be honest with you, I ain't trying to go broke for nobody. Look, I ain't trying to go broke for nobody. But I realized.
But we should. But
come
in
on.
reality, we should. Okay.
Right.
We should. And that's another. I'm gonna say we've been brainwashed into thinking that we're supposed to be. Humble has nothing to do with poverty. Okay, poverty is a man-made. It's man-made because if you look around, what we call this planet, this creation, God told us it will always be seed time and harvest. There's abundance of everything on this planet. They still finding new sources of water, but yet advertising on TV talking about a water shortage, okay? You lying to me, okay? It is a mindset, Steve, that you're so right. It's a mindset, and we have to elevate ourselves beyond the post-traumatic slave syndrome. Okay? All right. We gotta also move past the programming of the poisoning of our own communities. Stop being the instrument that your enemy used to destroy your own community. And I'm going to say this. There is nothing wrong with wanting better for yourself and your family. Every man should have that desire.
Wait a
Every
minute.
woman should have that desire. And no mother or no father should ever be jealous of their children doing better than what they did, because that is how the program is supposed to be written. Is that your children, what you pour into your children, fuse them to elevate themselves to a whole nother level from where you started from. And what this world has told, especially a lot of people in our community, we all in competition. Because every year, since you got that up there, every year what the slave masters would do, they would, if you pick so many bags of cotton, it was like a competition. So at the end of the year, they would maybe pick one or two slaves and set them free. So after a period of time, everybody on the plantation is in competition because they want their freedom. We ain't on the plantation no more. So why are we with this mindset? Mama feel like she gotta compete with her daughters. No, you don't supposed to do that. Daddies don't have to compete with their children. We should be proud of each other and always be the first people on the sidelines of whatever we're doing, and we should be the loudest cheerleaders in the bunch.
Amen. Amen. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. You know what? Before I came on, I've been reading a lot more up on not just the post-traumatic slavery, but I've been reading up on the Jim Crow laws and how everything came about. What?
You know what? I'm just laughing because people just don't understand that when we fought and won the battle for our freedom. Nobody gave us our freedom, because if people knew what emancipation meant, it meant to the government became the owners of the slaves, quote unquote prisoners. I'm going to say prisoners of war.
Thank you.
Were enslaved. They were not slaves because they were not Slavics, okay? But we have to get out of the mindset, and we have to stop thinking that somehow only one or two people deserve to live a good life or drive a nice car or have nice things, and then think, oh, it's our job to hate on them. No, it is our job to encourage them, but also ask them, what made you to desire this? And believe and trust that what God got for you is for you. What God got for them is for them. And like Miss Valerie said, we should be men and women of valor. We should be men and women of purpose, and that's what we need to be teaching our children. Is that everybody's got a purpose? Everybody is valuable to the family.
Yeah.
Everybody got gifts and talents, and just because your talent is this does not negate that the person talent is this, and encourage each person to develop who they are. We don't have to mimic each other, and that's what we've been doing for the past 40 to 50 years, is mimicking each other based upon what Hollywood done told us. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that, because in the forest, you'll see no tree trying to be another tree.
I like that.
You don't see it. You don't see a rose trying to be a tulip. You don't see a sunflower trying to be lilies. It's okay to be who you are. Remember who you are. You are good enough. You were born with a purpose and a reason. And it's not about the circumstances in which you was conceived. Because great things have come out of bad situations in history. So not on. And you are never, I'm going to just say this, you are never too low for God to reach down and pull you back up. We do not have to stay in any bad situations. We don't have to condemn ourselves, because God said, I sent my son to set the captives free. And what he did, he set everybody free. Now, if you choose to go back into captivity, that's on you, because he done already set you free. You just don't recognize it because you in shame and in guilt. And you done lost your identity. So you think you are those circumstances and situations, and you pretended to be somebody that you're not. It ain't about being black. It ain't about being white. It ain't about being a man. It ain't about being a woman. It is about being a child of the Most High God. Made in the image and the likeness of Him. Not them, but Him. Not her, but Him.
Of Him. Oof. Oof.
And if we only would embrace our children as gifts of God and pray over our children and ask God to give you the wisdom and the understanding and show you how you should be the parent to His gifts, I think we will have successful grown children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the devil take care of his kids.
Ah! No, you did not. No, you did not.
Yes, I did.
She said the devil take care of his kids. The devil. And you ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. I'm telling you. That's one thing I learned about this journey. You know, He have His children lined up, and God have His lined up, His chosen. And that's what we're doing. We're fighting that warfare, you know, against good and evil. You know. But it just helps me to see the fight, the battle. You know. I was getting ready to say the struggles, but it just helps me to see the work that it takes for us to do what we got to do for him. And that's the point. You get it? That's the point.
You know what? I was reminded today that he never called us to comfortability.
Right.
He never called us to convenience.
Mm.
It's the opposite. The call is always the opposite of our comfort and our convenience. He called us and he gonna send us to places that we never thought we was gonna be able to go. That he's going to send us to people that we didn't think we would be able to reach, to touch, to help them grow, to unlock the chains that had them bind. He's going to call us to things that make us uncomfortable. Because that's what the call is.
Right.
It's the call, and you gotta always remember. In this world, they want to keep you comfortable. They don't want to inconvenience you, because if you notice, anybody that stands up and tell the truth, now you'd have made all them people who was comfortable, and you'd have made them uncomfortable, and you have inconvenienced them because you was not willing to say yes to a lie, but you showed up to tell the truth. So, you know what? That's all Jesus did. That's all he did. He inconvenienced the Pharisees and the Sadducees.
Mm-hmm.
Because he stood up and told the truth. See, the people was not against him. The people who was against him was the ones that was in the titles and in the positions. And when he came along and went into the temple and turned over the tables and talked about their mamas, he made them uncomfortable.
Hey, I'm sorry for interrupting y'all, but I'm gonna drop down for a minute. My neighbor, I'm watching them on video camera. They have a little problem, so I need to lay down and pray, because this is crazy. So I'm gonna come back later if y'all still be up here.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for coming up, Queen. You know, this is the whole point of helping people to understand that we do recover. And the next things I'm getting ready to say, we do recover from a hopeless and helpless state of mind. You know, that's what a lot of people don't understand. You can grow. You know, whatever we're going through, you can grow from it. And that's what I learned in the process to common sense. And I know you understand. It's not to let your circumstances or your challenges and your issues, we know it's going to knock you down, but the point is getting back up. It's getting back up. And that's what I learned through this process. No matter how you stumble and fall, get back up. Mr. LJ.
Stop right there. I don't want to say another word.
I don't know. I've been looking at a lot. I've been looking at a lot of stuff. I know he's moving me into another area of this journey, mainly for his people. I already know. And it's just me doing what I got to do to get equipped. You know, get equipped. Come on, OG, you pretty quiet. You having a lot of noise in your background. Yeah, he wanted y'all to come up and try to take over. Huh? I'll start tomorrow. Now I was just trying to see what you were saying, OG. Common sense, you cooking? You cooking? Can you hear? Oh, common sense drop. All right. I'm gonna go back because I know OG kind of busy too. But I'm gonna go back to talk about recovering from active addiction, right? And that's part of the prompt that I put up. And the whole goal is to help people understand no matter what goes on in our life. Now, I'm going to use these words right here. Trials and tribulations, they come to make us strong. A lot of people will look at it as something negative, but trials and tribulations are there to make us stronger and more powerful. Mainly when you know and understand your work in the kingdom. That's all I'm. Ooh. Trying to mess with all this stuff at one time. That's all I'm trying to get to. I'm telling you, trying to mess with all this stuff at one time. One time. Trying to be multitasker. But look, I was on here a little bit earlier, right? And it was a guy that responded to me from YouTube. And he said something out his mouth about, you know, by him being the only one responding, like he's the only one looking. So we got, me and him start having fun with each other, right? Because he was sitting up there like, because you don't have a lot of followers and you this and you that. I'm not caught up in stuff like that because I understand this. The message is hope, right? And I understand that the only thing I'm doing is delivering a message of hope to the people. You get it? Everybody not going to receive it. So what am I going to be mad for? Everybody not going to receive the message of hope. Everybody don't want to receive it. Some people just, I mean, come on, it's not to knock nobody, but some people just stuck in their ways. And what I learned in this process too, family, some of us are just scared. We scared to stand up and fight for what we want out of life. Just scared. I like when what's your name came up yesterday, right? She said when T came up, T was like, Steve is more professional with his stuff. That's the same way I say, that's the same things I say about Lady J. Because in my head, I'm like, you know, I'm hard. And I'm going to tell you, this woman, Candace Mathis, I think it's Candace Mathis, I am loving hearing her. I'm loving hearing this woman. I love the way she come. I love her rawness. And I'm sitting up here listening to her, man. And I am so, so proud to hear a powerful woman speak the way she do. And then I watched her walk past like the sheriffs or the polices and them. And I was shocked. I was shocked because she was falling behind this guy talking, you know. I was shocked that they didn't snatch her up. You talking about a powerful civil rights advocate. And I'm quite sure she probably been arrested in the process too. But the point I'm trying to make, she reminded me so much of what happened. She reminded me so much of, come on, go down, go down. I don't know, you might can't see it, this piece came up. She reminded me so much of Jasmine Crockett. Can you stop? OG, did you drop? She reminded me so much of Jasmine Crockett. For a lot of y'all that feel like people, for a lot of y'all that might feel like people that speaks the truth like that is disrespectful, ghetto, and all of that, call it what you want. You call it what you want. You can sit up here and act real conservative and cute and all that type of stuff and see how serious they take you. See how serious they take you. Sometimes you have to come hard and you have to come rough to get your point across. To y'all looking at they need to be more conservative, they need to be more professional. Those are acts some people put on when they pause a certain way and they do certain things. I realized that myself. Because it's a certain way they need to act to appear more professional. That's why I love Mackenzie Frost. Mackenzie Frost with Fox 45 News is no joke. She dig deep. She digs deep. So I love when people like Mackenzie Frost start redoing her research on stuff. And she gets to the core and the bottom. And it's a lot of people that have a tendency of knocking what Fox 45 News do. But one thing I love about Fox 45 News, they will go and dig dirt up on you. They will dig for dirt. Now, as a community activist, a community, all that, the goal is to get to the core, get to the bottom of what's going on. That's the same conversation I used to have with the mayor and stuff. Getting to the root cause of why people behave the way they behave. In a destructive way. Only thing I could do, family, and let me go back to the top, to the prompt. I'm gonna go back to the prompt. I'm gonna pull it up right here. I'm gonna pull this. I want to pull this back up. Real conversation, real life stories. The topic: recovering from an addictive lifestyle. So when I say recovering from an addictive lifestyle, Y'all know I'm talking about, the streets, living that lying, manipulating way of life. Some people, it seemed like a norm for them. I keep telling y'all, when I was in it, you could not tell me I was wrong. Now that I'm out of it, I can see that unhealthy behaviors that I used to practice. I could see where my thinking was at. Now, so for a lot of people that never live like that and don't really understand, I just want to make this clear. You know how you can see when, like, the wrongs, that's all I'm trying to get to. You can see that a certain way of life that you live in is a very, very unhealthy life. So you choose not to live like that. See, you can see it. But people like us tend to rationalize that behavior. We tend to rationalize and justify the behavior to make it right, even though it's wrong. I just want to clear this for some people that really have common sense. Because a lot of people have common sense, which you know not to do certain things. And you don't do it. I admire that. I do. I admire when you see it, but you try not to practice it. You get me? A lot of us are not like that. And I just want y'all to understand that we will justify, we will rationalize the most outrageous nonsense to make it right. And if you can't understand it, then that's your problem. Because you could not tell me what I was doing was wrong. Because most everybody I hung around was doing it. So it seemed like it was right. And if you didn't do what we did during that time, you was considered as a nerd. You get it? So now, right, being clean for 33 years, doing some work on myself, I'm not in the dark. I'm in the light. I'm not blind. My eyes are open now. That's why I come on. That's why I talk the way I do. And guess what? I already know. Y'all know I'm in Baltimore City. I already know how some people are afraid to step up to the plate and fight for what they want out of life. Already know. Already know the courage and the confidence that it takes. Already know. So I'm only saying that, family, because I already know. I already know the courage and the confidence that it takes to stand up for what you want out of life, for what is right. And when I said that, right, I kind of went back to the civil rights movement, the Jim Crow laws, how they wanted to keep us separated. And the civil rights movement came about because they felt like we had just as much equal rights as the rest of them. You get it? I was reading more up on it, and the only reason why, because when I open up my mouth, I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about. And not just when I open up my mouth, when it comes to certain laws, right? As a community organizer, as a community activist, we have to understand because we fighting for your human rights. So it's not that we have to know everything based around what a lawyer does, but we are basically your mouthpiece. So we're somewhat considered as lawyers. We speak out on a lot of stuff that most people can't do. Sad part about it, And I made this statement earlier, right? And I probably end this about 7:30. But I made this statement earlier. I'm sick and tired of us coming up against each other the way we do. And then we quick to say the white man. I made a statement because when I got up earlier, Charleston White pulled back from what he was doing with Carmelo. I just want to say this. I'm tired of us doing it to each other. Your goal, my brother, was to support this young man, not his father. I'm going to say it again. Your goal was to support this young man, not his father. I don't know if y'all be trying to do stuff just to get the little attention of people. I don't know. But number one, I read up on the Bateson challenge as well. And if you read up on it, it talks about how it felt like, how they feel like, because of the prosecutor and them didn't bring in any blacks. It was basically discriminated. They violated his civil rights. They violated his rights. So this is one of the things that they're doing. Thank you, Chris. This is one of the things that they're doing to do a retrial. Now, as far as his father, as far as his mother, that's not important to me right now. We understand, and I'm talking about Carmela right now. We understand that he took this young man's life. We understand why he stated he took his life. My thing is not just the children, but adults, period. Stop thinking that it's okay to go around putting your hands on people, because you never know what they got. That's a good example right there. You never know what an individual might have when you go around and you feel like you can bully people and take advantage of people. Only, please listen, only because of what Carmelo said out his mouth and why he did what he did, that's where my mind is at. But I understand that they could not use that self-defense in that sense, because it wasn't like this other person had something, to match up to what to what was going on. But because of what Carmela said personally, and I'm telling y'all, I would have found him not guilty, because he already admitted. And he said he told him, if you touch me, he warned him, right? We can justify it, we can play with it, we can flip it, we can twist it. Did he not? Said he warned him. So I'm going to share this with y'all because we have a tendency of doing this, right? It wasn't you. You didn't lose a child. You didn't commit the crime. So it's easy for you to shoulda, coulda, woulda said this and said that. But I go back to the young man. Don't get it twisted. But I understand when I read more into the Texas law. But I'm going to share this with you too. The prosecutor played a good game in it. You got to know how the system works. They flipped the script. Tried to make it seem like he was the one that caused everything. I already know how they work. Y'all should know too. The boy that knew him, believe me, anytime the prosecutor them call him as a witness, right, to testify against him, he's going to share the truth, but he's going to maneuver the truth. I put that in A&I because if you understand the system of how they play, damn, this the thing that gets me with a lot of us. Understand the system and how they play you. Excuse me, y'all, for the language. But when you understand the system and what the prosecutor did, I read up that I'm sorry. I'm trying to move this thing out my way. It says scan it to the left. When I read up about, it's supposed to have been 3 black teachers, I believe, that they excused from it. Why? Teachers work with children. They can tell you a little bit about the behaviors, right? Now, I know in that area too, let me say this, they probably didn't have a lot of blacks to pick from anyway. I got that too. But you want to kind of balance stuff out. The Basin, that was a case between Basin and Kentucky back in the days where the courts overturned that. That's the case they throwing out there too, because they feel like this is what the prosecutor them did with him for not having a balance or somewhat blacks on that jury. That's why they filed the appeal for a new trial. Then keep in mind, check this out. A lot of white young men, and it's not a racist thing, I just want you to see it. Some of them got like 15 years. Some of them might, I'm trying to remember the years it was talking about, right? That was about the most for one guy. They felt as though the 35 years was a little bit too strict. So that's another reason. See, I wasn't going to say nothing about it because I'm not going to get on here arguing with nobody as a community organizer or community activist or human rights advocate. I am not. And it's not about color. Let me make that clear. Y'all already know when we had black and white conversations on TikTok, I don't get into that. Number one, my daughter-in-law is white. My nieces and nephews, I got nieces and nephews that's biracial. My son grew up. He plays soccer. He been playing soccer since he was 5. So most of the people that he grew around was YT. So what do I look like coming up here? Yeah, well, the white man this and the white man this. And the only people to me that will use that is people that never really grew up around white people or communicated in that sense. You sheltered. As a truck driver, as a man that traveled all over basically, all receivers aren't black. You dealing with the public. So becoming a member of Communities United of Baltimore, Maryland, for a lot of y'all that might not know, they fight for the democracy of Black people in Baltimore City. That's the Baltimore branch for the Center of Popular Democracy. Put this in. You can Google all of this. Now, for me to sit back and talk about my recovery journey, right? I used to live a certain way. I don't live that life no more. So the whole goal is to go back and help others understand that you can come out of that lifestyle and live a more healthier way of life. So when you got young men and some women too, who in the inner city but feel like they can't be successful in life, you have to go back into the inner, am I messing you up? City communities. But you got to know where programs are at to guide them to. That's the difference. I wish y'all talk more about this on TikTok for the city that you live in. For whatever city you live in, if you call yourself building back up in the Black community, and I'm talking about your marginalized communities, help people understand where programs are at. When you go back into the community, right? And I'm saying as an OG, and if I'm talking to somebody a little bit younger, the point is having to communicating with them, right? If you had a chance to come out of this and turn your life around, what you want to do? A lot of people have visions. They have dreams. Could be to be an actor. Could be to be a musician. Could be to be a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer. You got to find out what is their hidden talent and help embrace it. So when you're dealing with the inner city people, you got to guide them to the programs that can help them. Young man, they might want to go back to school. One might tell you, look, I want to go back to school, get my GED or high school diploma. Then from there, I might want to get into trucking. I might want to get into bricklaying. You got to talk with them. And like I said, you have to have a list of programs if you have not started your own to guide them to. So if somebody say, Mr. Steve, I want to get into trucking, you got them. You know a couple of trucking companies in Baltimore City that's Black owned. See how you can get them in there. A lot of times you can get them in because those companies gets government funding to pay their way. Basically, your apprenticeship programs get government funding. They're nonprofits. But a lot of y'all don't want to take the time out and go into the communities like Christ did, like the disciples did. Oh, you forgot? Because you're so busy telling David's story, so busy telling Matthew's story, you're so busy telling everybody else's story. Somebody might want to get into culinary, take up culinary classes, become a chef, guide them to those type of programs. That's what you do when you go back into the inner city communities. And you know you got a lot of your young men and women out there, right? That's doing illegal stuff to make a living. Which you know, eventually, they get caught. They going over to the big old slave plantation. Right? Now can y'all understand a little bit more why Steve Copeland do what he do? I just wish more people who actually are community advocates have nonprofits and doing a great job in the community wherever you receiving funding or not. That's just talk about what you doing, where you at, how you can be reached. It's a lot of people on LinkedIn that's professionals. I invite over here. It makes me wonder, is y'all serious about helping the marginalized communities? Or more like fattening up your pockets, business-wise? This is a good way to advertise your business. This is the good way of letting people know where you at, what's going on to help them. Thanks, Chris, because you know what I'm talking about. Chris just said he's he went to prison. Wait a minute, family. His life turned around real. Wait a minute, I want to read back. I might have to go on my other page, Chris, because I want to go back and read what Chris said, because this is a sense of hope, family. Wait a minute, Chris. Because I can better see his comment. I got to go on my other back up. So I can read the comments, family. Now, Chris said, oh, come on, I see it now, Chris. He said, went straight to jail, straight out of school, couldn't get a job. Now I'm an electrical engineer. You see what Chris said? And you know what, Chris? I used to do H&I, right? And I was over at the jail here in BMore. It was one of the Mortons that told me that, but say like somebody want to get in, a felon, Chris, if they want to get into trucking, that's all they got to do is get government bonded. So I started reading up a little bit more on that, Chris, because yes, if you are a felon, you can still get a decent job. Not just trucking now, but look what Chris said. From what I understand, and this is me dealing with some people in other cities, that say like you want to apply, you are an ex-offender, a felon, and you want to apply for a certain job, they're not supposed to ask you about your background. The goal is to let you in and watch your performance, but not to use your background against you. But now, say like if you, can I say rob banks, but you want to get into dealing with money, you might can't do that no more. You get it? So it's not to say you can't do something similar or different. It's just whatever you got charged with and was found guilty, you might can't practice that. Now, I could be totally out of order, but I just know from the little understanding that I got with people that works with ex-offenders, mainly like here in Baltimore City, family, criminals can vote now. Now, I have to make it clear when I say criminals, because I was looking at, well, can ex-offenders, I mean more like your felons and all of that, it said criminal period. They can vote. So if you are an ex-felon, stuff like that, you can vote. Now that's in Baltimore City. Marlo and them had a lot to do with getting that bill passed. I believe Communities United was a part of that as well. Now, I came in a little afterwards with Communities United. But the only reason why I'm saying this, to give our people a sense of hope. That's all. You got people like Chris, got into construction, right? They might not can get government contracts. You know, the $1 million ones. They might can't get those because of the background. Now, I wish somebody who say like was an ex-felon, where did it come from? Was an ex-felon, right? Who either is still on there, but he had it covered. But if an ex-felon, why am I saying it like that? Can come up. I want you to come up. Mainly if you end up getting a business and you're able to get actually government funding for your business. Like government contracts, I'm sorry. Government contracts. Because I talked with a guy who had his own business, construction-wise, but he couldn't get the government contracts. You know, they $1 million contracts. So basically, I need somebody to feed our people to let them know if you beat that process or got through that, share that. And share what you did to be able to overcome. That's the whole point of the couch, family. That's the whole point of BMore Teen Talk. For us as parents, for us as people, to help educate the community. Sometimes y'all make me feel like I'm wasting my time. I'm serious. But guess what? I don't want to give up. One person. That's why, I don't know, I forgot your name, but that one person that came in from YouTube, I got 339 subscribers on YouTube. I've been trying to promote that even more. Twitch, I might have a few people listening on Twitch, but mind you, mine is the couch conversation. It's a couch talk show. So some people with healthy information, I don't know why y'all want to keep it to yourself. Don't want to try to encourage and empower and strengthen other people to let them know I used to be there. This is what I was able to do, or how other people helped me come up out of it. That's some selfish and self-centered stuff.
Yes.
You know, I can be the same way if I choose to. But no. And it's a shame when you have, and you need customers when you have a business.
Y'all would always need customers. Always. Because without customers, your business isn't going to flourish.
Well, it'll flourish by word of mouth. Okay. That's why it's called commercializing, advertising, and marketing your business.
Networking, more or less.
Right. That's what this is. And I'm going to tell y'all the next time, I'm going to do this for a lot of black people. The next time you run off at your mouth and say YT this and YT that, but you're not there to help your own people, look at who's unblocking your people. Look at who's pulling your people back down from being successful, for us coming together. Actually look at it. Look at it.
Because they're scared of you.
It's us. It's normally us that's afraid to encourage and empower and motivate us. But we'll turn around and point the finger. That's the white man. That's the this and that's the that one. Only reason why I could say that, family, and I know certain things happen, because when you in it to see it for what it is, you understand. They ain't no. And we are some of the biggest, talking about us as black people, hypocrites you ever want to meet. You know why? Because we will not fight to hold each other up. And that's what really, and I'm an older gentleman, so I see it more now at my older age than I did when I was younger. I see it. That's why it's called encouraging, empowering, motivating. Right now, I can only speak for Baltimore City, and guess what? For TikTok, I have not been on other people's platforms lately because they talking about this young man. And I'm hearing so much chaos and confusion with it. I said the young man already told everybody why he did what he did. They didn't move from this, they didn't move from that. Supposed to be video out there about, I'm like, come on. So I went to fact checkers, no. I went to Snoop, no. It's just people putting stuff out on social media. It's saying for the algorithm, whatever you call it, algorithm. For to get the attention and all that type of stuff. I'm like, wow. Come on, family. Come on. Making money off of other people pain and misery like this.
I mean, I know we can do better, but come on now. We need to spread the message more than what we're doing. A lot of you know what the message is, but y'all are too afraid to give it out to somebody else who really needs to hear it. You have it. You're just being selfish. Stop being selfish and share what you have to a young adult or to a young child. They could probably use it. Be a mentor. Do something. Because these kids are struggling. Because they don't have the guidance. They may not have a father in their life. They may not even have a man in their life. This is where we are all supposed to come in as men to help these younger generations that don't have that father figure in their life. Give them the message and say everything is going to be all right. Show them and guide them the way up, not down. I've seen a lot of parents in my life go with their children down, work with their children down instead of working them up. See, society says we're supposed to be at the bottom, but no. Society says we have a choice and we can do what the hell we need to do. Look where we're at now. We've got young, bright lawyers, doctors. I mean, Business 500 type people that are black. I'm surprised y'all don't want to pull to that success. Because I know I do. I want that. But there's a lot more I've got to learn, so therefore I'm holding on to what I have so I can gain more knowledge to give to somebody else. I'm in the beginning stages of trying to get my business up and running again. I've already done my welcome letter. Copeland. I done my welcome one. I'm still having trouble on trying to do the proposal right. And I've used Chat GPT, and it seems like everything that I put in there, it puts it where I don't need it. I needed it someplace else, and they put it where I don't need it. So it's like I gotta try to figure out a way of doing this. But once I figure it out, I'll be all right.
Right.
But young men, but men in general need to learn. We all have to teach each other to grow. Yeah, we work for the YT people, but we also work for our own color. I'd rather work for our own color than I work for a YT, to be honest. Matter of fact, I want to work for my own self.
Well, I don't work for the white. Look, I don't work for the YT. I'm retired.
Make my own money. Hire my own employees. Teach them a trade. That's what I do. So I'm giving my knowledge to people that want to learn. Most of my employees are ADHD. Most of my employees. And you know what? It's a beautiful thing. Because you have to learn how to deal with each of their personalities.
Let me share this with you, because I just in 2008 I was a juror here in Baltimore City, and we awarded this young man that was dealing with lead. When you say ADHD, it just made me think about him. $6 million, right? But the thing is, I didn't know how much they actually gave him. So I put it in. See, I'm gonna show y'all when you do stuff. I put it in AI to find out how much did they, if they had it in their information with their category, if they had that information, he got $600,000 out of that 6 million. But the thing I'm trying to say is, when you of service and you fighting for your people in general, this young man, I watched this young man sit there the whole time. He did not move too much of anything. And I started looking at my children with the energy and how they move about. And I knew right then and there, he would never really be able to work a good job without being trained. He would never work a good job to make money, right? Because I seen where he was at. And I put that in there as well. That was one of the reasons why we awarded him what we did. He was working. By this time, he's grown. He was getting ready to turn 21. He was working for this company, but they trained him in the warehouse. But if they ever let him go, nobody worked with him. He's going to be lost. So that was the reason why we awarded him what we did. And I'm just saying this, family, and that was because of lead. So he did receive the amount from what they were saying, the percentage of it and everything was the 600,000. And, you know, the lawyer fees and all of that. But that's why in some cases it's good to go to jury trial, to be a juror, because you can help people overcome certain situations as far as what being accused of things that they might not really did. But you got to pay real close attention, because this prosecutor at this time was very convincing. But so happened I caught it because he was living with his grandmother. They tried to say he wasn't in HUD housing project. That was a lie, because they moved his mother somewhere else. And if you didn't pay attention, it would have flew right over your head. So I know the games that they can play when it comes to even the defense attorney, right? And getting people off on certain things that they actually done is how you present the case. And then the prosecutor. There's a lot of defense attorneys that became prosecutors. So I'm just saying this because when you're familiar with certain things, family, when you're familiar with the game, when you see it. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a prosecutor. But I understand the language in the game. That's why I let them be shot when we together and I open up my big mouth. Because they are certified. They are licensed. And it's like, how he know this? How he knows certain things? That's the point of doing your research. That's the point of understanding certain laws. And I'm getting ready to end this because it's almost 8 o'clock. I got 2 minutes. But I'm going to go ahead and end this. I love y'all. I don't know right now what the topic might be for tomorrow. I love you if it's God's will for tomorrow, because it's only a day away.
So we have no idea what we're talking about tomorrow?
Oh, no, we might not have an idea right now, but later, God will lay something on my spirit. But it's all going to be around, y'all know, around recovery anyway. It's about...
I might try to come back on.
Yeah.
My neighbor's having some serious problems over here, so I just...
I have a friend that just went through a loss, and I told him that we do spiritual counseling and stuff like that, and have him come up, share his story, and everything like this, you know.